Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by someone who a lot of people will remember from her days as the front woman of Killing Heidi, but she's now gone solo and is creating some of her finest music to date. Welcome to Pario magazine, Ella Hooper.
Thanks for having me.
So we're here today to chat about your latest journey in the world of music as a solo artist. Before we dive into that though, who is Ella Hooper these days away from the stage?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm still working that out every day. I don't know. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm someone who's enjoying trying out different genres, just making solo music under my own name now, which is a little bit more softer than Killing Heidi or what you might know me for. It's a bit more adult contemporary, Americana, folk even. So yeah, that's where I'm at these days.
And like you mentioned, the music has changed. It's gone from the sort of rock to that newer genre. What led to that evolution?
I've always loved it. I've always been into lots and lots of different genres behind the scenes, everything from, basically everything. Anything, if it's good, I'll listen to it, even metal, even rap. But I grew up with country and Americana in the house a lot. My dad had an awesome record collection, and that really influenced me as a kid. So I've always wanted to sort of let it out in my own music, which is what I'm letting myself do now.
Who were some of those earliest influences and how have they evolved now going down this solo path?
I think with stuff like Flying Burrito Brothers, Graham Parsons, Emmylou Harris, who else? Linda Ronstadt. I love a bit of pop country as well, stuff like that.
Okay. And did your time with Eurovision and then The Masked Singer, did that influence the music at all as well? Or did it open you up to sort of new styles?
Not really. It didn't really influence this music. This sort of music comes from deep, much before all that. But I do love doing that other stuff. It keeps me open-minded and it keeps me busy. And it helps me sort of hone my craft as a performer more than as a songwriter.
And also outside of music, how have your experiences working on radio and TV played into going back and feeding back into music?
I think it gives me a pretty educated and realistic outlook on putting music out, because having worked in radio, I know sort of how hard it is to get played, and especially how hard it is to get Australian music played, let alone Australian adult contemporary music, which there isn't the hugest market for, unfortunately. But, I'm trying to change that, so pushing on that as in my own way. But yeah, I think it sort of gives me a little bit more of a deeper understanding perhaps than some artists who are only on one side of the mic. Being on both sides of the mic has been really educational.
Is it still daunting though, knowing that, yes, people might know you from Killing Heidi or the radio but now you're coming with this whole new sound?
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting. It can be, like I'm afraid of confusing people or confusing fans. She's this, she's that, she's rock and roll with Killing Heidi. She's funny on the TV doing music trivia, or she's, serious on the radio doing a podcast. But I'm sort of all those things. And I hope to be the kind of artist eventually that people can just sort of understand that about, or expect that from. Expect the unexpected with me.
And with this newest single, Old News, what was the inspiration and story behind that song?
It was basically about asking myself the question, do I still have something to say? Will there still be a place for me? Sort of what we just touched on, after being around for so many years, 20 plus years, more than that, as a working musician, you can sometimes think you've used up all your oxygen or all your limelight tickets, and maybe you don't deserve another go, or you just won't get another go. But so Old News is me talking to myself about that, and then deciding, no, I do still have something to say. I do still have things to offer and things to share that I think will connect with other people. And it is, so that's good.
Was that a long creative process in that sense?
Yeah, I did take my time with this one and dug a bit deeper and basically wrote all this new stuff over COVID lockdown period. So I had a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't gigging on the road and I was kind of stuck in my tiny country town where I grew up. But I also find that place really inspiring. So it was a good place to be locked down because I could use it for my music and my inspiration. And the stories that wanted to come out were these mostly very old childhood stories. And that's why it's influenced so much by what I grew up with.
Okay, a nice little upside to COVID where you got to reconnect with
Yes,
your roots and where the passion initially came from.
exactly. That's exactly what it did for me.
And how has the reaction been to the single so far?
It's been amazing. I've been like actually a bit surprised at how well it's gone and how open people were to this new style of music from me. And, it's making its way, it's getting some good streams and it's getting some good radio play and a lot of support. So I'm really honored and excited that people are making space for this new song in their lives.
And it sounded like when you were talking about writing, you've got a few more songs up your sleeve. Can fans expect to hear those soon?
Yeah, I do. I've got a whole album. So this is just the first taste of what's to come. And there will be a few more singles coming out before the album drops early next year.
And are they all in this same genre and style of music, or did you go back to your rock roots a little bit in some songs?
Some songs there's a bit of rock, but it's a bit of a twangy kind of rock. So there is a new sort of sound to it all. It's all a lot calmer and more mature than Killing Heidi because I sort of wrote and performed that stuff when I was 16, 17. And this is the adult me sort of taking a more, a slightly more subtle approach, but there are some rocky moments. There are some shredding solos. There's even a sax solo in there. But mostly it's more things like fiddles and violins and slide guitar, pedal steel. I love that stuff.
Okay. And on the back of the single, you're embarking on a national tour shortly. That concludes in Sydney and Wollongong at the end of November. How are you feeling ahead of the tour?
I'm excited. I'm nervous. I always get a bit nervous before I go out on the road and put all that stuff together myself, especially because it's just sort of me driving it under my own name and on my own steam and booking the band and making that happen. Sometimes in a rock band setting where it's all quite democratic and shared, you can sort of lean on other people. But when you're a solo artist or you're doing a solo album, it's just you and a lot of decisions and a lot of sort of leading, but that is also why I love it. So I get to put my own specific flavor on it very much. So yeah, I'm excited. And the tour is really big, like it's pretty extensive. We're going everywhere, West Coast, East Coast, North, South. So I'm happy about that.
Do you find when you're booking a show as a solo artist, you kind of get stuck in a bit of perfectionism?
Yeah, I do. I do find that I want it to be awesome. I want even the supports to be amazing. I want the artwork to be perfect and the band to sound great. So, but you start off like that and then reality comes in and knocks you down a peg and knocks you down a peg. And some days you just get out there and things might not be working, or perhaps, it's been a hard day on the road or someone misses a flight. That happens too. And you've just got to accept that on those days. I try to let that stuff go, but I start out aiming for perfection and then we hit reality. So that's what you get.
And looking at sort of traveling at the moment, that looks like it could be a little bit difficult as well. Is that a little bit scary heading into this tour?
Yes. I've told the band to get to the airport 3 hours early. No, not quite. But yeah, it is an issue. And, it's still, COVID is still a factor as well. And you never know when that's going to pop up in different areas and cancel your show. So it's wild out there, but it's still worth trying.
Okay. And then what can people expect from an Ella Hooper concert during this tour?
Well, I am going to put my very best energies into making it a real experience. So almost like the album that I've recorded and crafted, like I want it to sort of start with a beginning, have a middle and an end, have a real arc to it. Those are the kind of shows I really love, where I feel like I've been taken on a journey. And these songs are very sort of storytelling songs. They sort of do tell a story if they have a bit of a theme about childhood and memory and family. So hopefully by the end of the whole show, the audience feels like they know me a lot better because I'm telling a lot of personal stories. But, you know, hopefully they've also had a few laughs, maybe had a cry, the whole package.
How is it trying to find personal stories that you may not have shared in the past?
It's actually surprisingly, I never run out. I never run out of them. You just sort of see things with that songwriter perspective, and everything's a story. And sometimes they're not my direct stories. I might be singing something about my mum or my brother or my dad or a friend I grew up with. And there's just so much stuff to draw from. It doesn't always work, but I'm never short of inspiration, just sometimes hard to bring it all together and make it work.
Okay, fantastic. And then finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track this creative journey moving forward?
Well, I'm all over the socials. So, you know, we all are these days. I'm pretty busy on Instagram and Facebook, and things are going really well there. The single's up on Spotify and all streaming services, Apple Music and stuff as well. And there should be a film clip coming soon to my YouTube channel. But all of those entry points can be found basically at my website, which is really easy. It's just ellahoopermusic.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and good luck with the tour and the upcoming album.
Thanks so much for having me, and I hope you like it.
Wonderful. All right, I'll hit stop on these.